When the map disappears, a Robyn reads reflection. A few months ago, after attending Chairworld with Vistage in San Diego, I flew to Las Vegas to meet a friend for a short break. It was meant to be a gentle exhale after a week of learning, conversation and intensity, a shift from conference rooms to open sky. One of the places we decided to visit was Red Rock Canyon. If you've never been, it's hard to describe properly. Vast desert basins, ancient red formations, the kind of silence that makes you feel both very small and strangely awake at the same time. At the visitor centre, we picked up a map. We listened carefully to the instructions and we set off confidently. We were told to follow the trail markers. What we weren't told was that the trail markers were not slim wooden posts with arrows. We had seen a couple of those which completely threw us off the scent. The markers were huge metal mesh containers filled with rocks, a detail that quite frankly would have been useful. At first everything felt fine. We walked, we talked, we took photographs, every direction looked beautiful, so nothing felt obviously wrong. Until gradually, almost quietly, we realised that we were no longer on the trail at all. We had drifted out across the wash and deep into the open basin. By the time we eventually found the road again, located that original trail and reached the point we'd intended to find in the first place, we had walked 8 miles. 8. Now, thankfully, neither of us panicked. We didn't become irritable. We didn't blame each other. We didn't see red. And that stayed with me afterwards, because leadership is full of red rock moments. Moments when the map disappears. Moments when the markers no longer look like you expected. Moments when everyone around you assumes you know where you're going, and privately you're no longer completely sure. The real cost in those moments is rarely the wrong turn itself. The real cost is silent doubt. That private emotional load that leaders carry when they feel they must appear certain while secretly questioning themselves underneath. I think many CEOs experience that far more often, in fact, than anyone realises. What fascinated me most about Red Rock Canyon was not the uncertainty itself, but what happened inside us while we were experiencing it. Because uncertainty is not actually the enemy, isolation is. Human beings are not designed to navigate uncertainty alone. In the wild, isolation signals danger. Our nervous systems know that long before our thinking minds catch up. And when pressure rises, something interesting happens psychologically. Our perspective narrows. There's a concept in psychology called the window of tolerance. It describes the zone where we can stay calm enough to think clearly, to communicate well, and to make grounded decisions under stress. When we move outside that window, perspective shrinks. It's a bit like trying to navigate a vast landscape whilst looking through a tiny plastic straw. You lose peripheral vision. You stop seeing possibility. Everything narrows. I think leaders experience this more than they admit. The pressure builds, the responsibility grows, the certainty disappears, and slowly leadership starts running on instinct rather than intention. Sometimes even on habit rather than aliveness. Yet what struck me that day in Red Rock was this: steadiness is contagious too. Because neither of us panicked, we kept each other regulated. We stayed present. We kept talking and we kept walking. And eventually, clarity returned. We didn't force it. We didn't panic. We stayed with the uncertainty long enough for perspective to widen again. There's an old phrase that came to mind while we were walking. Most people give up 3 feet from gold. I used to think persistence was about pushing harder. Now I think real persistence is often emotional regulation. The ability to remain present long enough for clarity to return. Not rushing, not catastrophizing, not collapsing inward, just taking the next steady step. And perhaps that is why the right peer relationships matter so much in leadership. They don't remove uncertainty, but they do stop us carrying it alone. The strongest leaders I know are not the ones who never lose their way. They are the ones who have built networks so robust that when the map disappears, they have trusted mirrors around them. People who help them widen perspective again. People whose steadiness helps them find their footing. Because leadership becomes lighter when it's shared. And perhaps the real question is not, how do I avoid getting lost? But how do I build the kind of relationships that help me stay steady when visibility narrows? Sometimes the first step is simply finding the right company for the walk.
If this story stayed with you, you'll find more reflections at robertsonfox.com. Until next time, thank you for listening.